Hi, I'm Jeff Murrah, and I'm glad that you're here at Healthy Marriage Tips today. In the session today, we're going to be dealing with keeping yourself safe with volatility. This presentation is part of a series about handling an angry spouse with drinking issues. Now, anger itself is not bad. Where things get out of control is when there's violence. And one of the things with violence is volatility. That's how quickly things can change. And when you've got a spouse who has an anger problem, you've got to consider volatility. Just because you have an angry wife or an angry husband, it doesn't mean that you've got to live in fear of your life. It's when the anger turns to violence, especially when it does so quickly and without a lot of warning, that things get out of hand. I know that there's a lot of people in modern society, they think that because my spouse is angry, that's a bad thing. Anger is not a bad thing. It's how they handle the anger, how you handle the anger. And there are things that you can do in terms of dealing with it. Anger does not always equate with violence, although many times it is a precursor. Now, when an angry person feels very desperate, that's when things can get volatile very quickly. This is one reason why I encourage you, when you're talking with your spouse or you're having a confrontation or talking about a topic that is likely to bring up a lot of emotionality, don't block the exits. I mentioned in some of the earlier episodes that, when you have to talk with them, go ahead and do so where the two of you are sitting down, preferably where there's a table or something in between you. You want to not block access to the doors. And don't take their car keys and block the access to the cars. I find that usually leads to an escalation of violence. A lot of times, angry people, they may need to just take off in a car, drive a little bit, get their head clear. One of the things that you can do if you've got that kind of spouse is to insist that they let you know when they'll be back. I think that's realistic. To say, okay, I understand you got to get away. Where people kind of get freaked out is where they take off, when one spouse takes off and they have no idea when they're coming back. If they let you know, I've got to cool off, give me 30, 45 minutes, it makes a whole lot easier to take. Now, before you go in there and start talking with them about the highly sensitive topics, this is where you need to make sure that you are using the boundaries. I've talked a lot about boundaries and the importance of having safe boundaries. You want to make sure that you have them clear in your head. You don't want to step into a confrontation situation without having established the boundaries ahead of time, at least in your own head. Hopefully you've gone ahead and told them what some of the boundaries are in terms of what you will not accept, what you will accept, and how you won't talk to me. It's not that you're trying to dictate things, you're making sure that the limits are there. As a counselor, a lot of times I talked about while growing up as a teenage boy, we played football on the street a lot. And, of course, the first thing you do anytime you play sports is define the boundaries. Because if you don't have boundaries and know what's out of bounds, know what the goal lines are and so forth, it becomes an exercise in frustration. People are running all over the place, and you never know when somebody is in bounds, out of bounds, whether or not they scored or not. That's why you have to have the boundaries. You can, because it establishes an ability to win and to make some headway. That's true in playing games. That's true in real life. Some of the boundaries, I like making sure that there is a place in your house that's safe, that's off limits from the fighting, that the fighting is going to stop when you get there. I also like limits on time. Like for instance, okay, we're going to talk about subject X, be it they're drinking, be it an affair, whatever, but we're going to limit it to 30 minutes or 45 minutes, whatever your time frame is. Be willing to go ahead and set some limits on time. You don't have to get everything solved in one sitting. You can work at it time and time again. And you also want to go ahead and establish boundaries concerning distance. If you've got one of those spouses who's intimidating, who likes to get right in your face, make it clear that is not acceptable. As if you've got a volatile situation and you're one of those that likes to get in their face, that tends to push people over the edge. You want to be careful with how you use distance, especially when dealing with a highly volatile topic, because getting in people's personal space and they're already not on an emotional even keel, they'll take it as an attack. And when people feel attacked, they tend to attack back. So, have a clear idea in terms of space and maintaining your space. I find things go better when you have some idea of space. Because, a lot of times you're dealing with a situation where you may not have much control over anything, but at least you have your space around you, and that makes a difference. So make sure that you know your boundaries before you head on into this, because if you wait till the last minute, you're asking for trouble. Now, by this point, I'm hoping that you have watched some of the previous ones where I talked about boundaries and anger, because now you're to the point where you're bringing up the unpleasant topics and you need to address them. And make sure you address them one at a time, because trying to machine gun it and hit them with one after another, it's going to bring more agitation. Bring one, hear them out, let them hear you out, see what you can work out together, then bring up another one. Start with the biggest ones first rather than the smallest ones. That makes a difference too. So until next time, this is Jeff Murrah wishing you well. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, feel free to leave them down below. I'll be glad to get to them. So until next time, best regards. Goodbye.